Hi, folks, and welcome to Cat Chat Live and today's webinar about priority registration and academic advising. We know that this is on the minds of many of our students as they're thinking ahead to the spring 2025 semester, and so we want to make sure that you have good information to support them as they're going through this process. My name is Nancy Stevens. I serve as UK's Parent and Family Communications Manager. And I have just a few announcements and housekeeping items before I turn things over to today's guests. So I see many of you are joining our Zoom webinar. As a reminder, in the Zoom webinar platform, we can't see or hear you. So it's the best way for us to communicate is using Zoom's Q&A feature. We're going to have time after the presentation to take your questions, and we welcome anything that you need clarification on or want more information about. We'll make sure that your questions get answered with the time that we have together today. We'll plan on taking no more than an hour together. We know you're busy and hopefully have been able to carve out some time in the day to watch this with us. But we'll plan on keeping it to an hour. If you do have questions after the fact, if you're watching this later, you can always email parents@uky.edu and we'll make sure that you get the information that you're seeking. Adam, if you wouldn't mind advancing, oh, there's that slide. Just making sure I've covered all of my housekeeping things before I turn it over to you. Oh, I should mention this webinar is being recorded and all of our registrants will get a copy of that recording emailed to them. It will also be posted in the Cat Chat family community, which I'll talk a little bit more about towards the end of our webinar today. The last thing I'll say is that we do value your feedback with all of these Cat Chat Live webinars and all the work that UK does to support the parents and families of our students. And so you'll see a survey after today's webinar, and we hope you'll take a couple of minutes to give us your thoughts, your feedback, and any ideas for future Cat Chat Live webinars you'd like to see. So those are all my announcements. And with that, I'm going to turn things over to our guests to tell you a little bit more about advising and the priority registration process at UK. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Adam Smith. I'm honored to serve as the Executive Director of University Academic Advising. And we have some great guests today that are here to talk about the academic advising process, course planning, course registration, and all the things that are going to be happening. I'm going to let my colleagues introduce themselves. Micah, do you want to go first?
Hello, everyone. My name is Micah Smith-Jackson. I am a senior here at the University of studying political science on the international relations track with a minor in psychology and certifications in peace studies, global studies, and global competent teaching.
Thank you, Micah. Stephanie, welcome.
Hi, folks. My name is Stephanie Lynch. I'm the Director of Advising in the Gatton College of Business and Economics, and I've been in advising at UK for almost 16 years now. So I've seen a lot of things and seen a lot of students in those years, so I'm happy to be here.
So real quick, just about our advising structure, because our advising structure at UK is a little bit unique, that each one of our colleges has an advising lead, either a director or an assistant dean that's responsible for advising in their college. And then my role works in partnership with those folks as well as their deans and associate deans to ensure that students have a seamless advising experience in form of training, technology, support. So that is similar and seamless for your students. So if you have any questions, I can ask Nancy. She'll throw in the chat the University Advising website. That is the best place to start for any questions related to advising at the University of Kentucky, and because it's kind of the biggest part of the funnel. And then we feed into all of our college level advising units that we're honored to have Stephanie lead. Stephanie, I'm going to turn it over to you to kind of walk us through the advising relationship and some of the things that students will expect in working with their advisors.
All right. So one of the things that students come into college thinking that academic advisors are similar to guidance counselors in high school. And we do have some things that are similar, but there are also some things that are not. So one of the first things that I know probably all of our colleges talk to students about at orientation when they come in the summer is the advising partnership. We try to re-emphasize that going through the first semester, so that students know that we're here to be their person on campus, and we're here to get them what they need, where they need it, and when they need it. So this is something that we share with all of our students that come through. And so really there's expectations on both sides that the advisor has of your student and that the student has of their advisor. And so we offer to be accountable, communicate clearly with your student, be respectful, provide course guidance, referrals, and we're mentors, coaches, and cheerleaders. We don't want to just hear from your student, when things go wrong. We want to hear from your student when things go well too. And we love celebrating some of those wins. And I always tell my students, like, you need to put that exam on the fridge in the house or in your dorm room to share that with your roommates. So we'd love to celebrate successes. Now, as far as what we kind of expect of your student is the same accountability and communication and respect. And really that engagement and professionalism fall under that responsibility for your education. We've all got our degrees, so our job is to help them get theirs, and we encourage them to take some ownership of that in that process. So every student on our campus has an academic advisor assigned to them. Some will have more than one, depending on their majors and things like that. And that assignment can be seen in My UK. It's pretty visible. There's also a link to the advisor's appointment calendar in My UK. So at any time of day, a student can log on and schedule an appointment to meet with their advisor during the working hours for their advising center. And those appointments are usually available pretty readily throughout the entire semester. And then the student can also choose a modality. So for students in our online programs or students who are in other places, maybe for education abroad or an internship, they can choose to meet with us over Zoom, in person. They can even choose a phone appointment if it's necessary. I will say that's not a appointment type that we can do a lot of work in sometimes, but we can at least do a quick check-in. So we usually recommend in person or Zoom. Students get automatic reminders about their appointments, and those reminders will also give them the opportunity to reschedule if they need to. So most of our students are really great about rescheduling appointments and not just, skipping over an appointment, which is good, and really helps us make sure that we can utilize our time well. So with regard to FERPA, the Federal Education Rights and Privacy Act, there are some things that are not protected information about your student, and that's directory information. Your student has the opportunity to opt out of that directory information being available. And they can do that at any time in My UK. They can do it, set it for an hour, they can set it for 2 hours, they can set it and just leave it, they can turn it off whenever they want to. But that is something that, basically if someone, calls the University of Kentucky and asks if your student's a student here, then yeah, we can tell them that your student is a student here. Now, turning that off obviously would mean that we would not share any information or confirm anything about your student and the questions that are being asked. Now, that also means that your advisors and the instructors can be limited in what we can share with you about your student. And so what we have here at UK, which is a little unique, is that the student can designate a person to be their designee, to have more detailed access to their information. And when that happens, we can talk openly according to what the student wants to converse about with their FERPA designee. And that if that happens to be mom or dad, that's great. If it's big brother, that's fine too. So, and the student can set those preferences and change them at any time. So it's very much centered on whatever the student needs, at the time. And so if your student hasn't thought about that before, or if you want to have a conversation with your student about those things, they're available in MyUK. And if they have a little bit of trouble finding it, we've got some guides and folks that can lead them through that process. All right, I think I'm turning this over to Adam.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. So, real quick, just to remind folks, because I know I'm the old guy on our panel today, and so I have college-age kids. And one of the challenges is we're sometimes paying or supporting them as they go to school, and it's a very different adjustment in that we don't get their information, right? Unless your student adds you as a FERPA designee, we are very limited, our advisors and the university personnel, faculty and others, and what we can tell anybody. We can basically tell somebody, hey, this person is a student here, unless they've opted out of that directory information. So that is something that is 100% on the student, just like it would be with HIPAA in your doctor's office or your pharmacy. It is 100% on the student who they add as a designee and who they take off as a designee. But if there are times you're communicating with your student's advisor and you aren't getting the answers, it isn't because we don't want to, it's that the student hasn't given us that access under federal law. So that is our responsibility to make sure we are protecting them as well as their information. I'm going to turn it over to Micah. This is the most important part. Micah is going to walk us through a student's view. So we really discourage students from giving anyone access to their MyUK, whether that's a family member, a parent, a friend, to be able to log in to their information, right? So being a FERPA designee allows you to have information shared. We really discourage students from giving parents or other people access to their system. Micah can show us from a student's view the things that the student sees, because we know many of our students lean on family members for support for the registration process, advising, majors, and all the things. Micah?
Hello, hello. Alrighty, so we will get started off with the course registration and what it looks like for a UK student as you are first opening up MyUK. So the first step is that you will have student services, which essentially your first thing that you'll look into is you'll have a tab that will go into my page, my info, my records, admissions, my degree audit, and financials and a UK alert. So the first part of this is my page, which will be what your current classes are whenever you are registering and what classes you are enrolled in and which ones that and how much their credits are. So as we was talking about earlier about the FERPA, the privacy settings, as you can scroll down from there, you can see that the privacy settings for mine is currently off, but that is where you would allow any parents or guardians or any family members to have that FERPA access designee. Okay, so now we will get into the actual degree audit. This is the window that will basically tell you how you can move forward with the rest of your spring semester or your fall semester. So there is also a such thing called holds, where you will see any tags. Sometimes they are surveys, sometimes it is a financial hold on your account, which will essentially prevent you from registering for classes. So currently you will also see that there is a specific hold for mine to say that when my registration window opens up November 7th, and it tells me the time for my classes for the spring semester. And that is one of the few holds that you will be able to see. Another thing that you can see from this point of view is all of your advisors that have been assigned to you throughout your time at UK. You all have a primary advisor, which will be your go-to / major advisor. Then if you are like me and have added certificates, You will also gain an academic advisor for them to help guide you in those certificate processes. And if you are part of the honors college, you will get a honors advisor to help you with honors classes, with an honors personal development counselor to help you out with any of those financial needs, or just simply figuring out next steps after college.
When you all can see here, just to jump in, that Micah has already, Nidra is her honors advisor, and it is displaying when Micah's next appointment with Nidra is. One thing to also point out is the registration window. So where you see the red box above that shows the student when they can register for the next term. So Micah will be able to register on November 7th at 1 o'clock. Students literally sit like they're getting Taylor Swift tickets, waiting to hit that button. And so the goal is to have all of this green below, all of the holds lifted. They've met with their primary advisor, any other holds that are there that are showing up in red, having all of those gone before, in Micah's case, November 7th at 1 o'clock. Then she will be able to register for the courses that she and her advisor plan together.
Alrighty, so this is also another level to the degree audit. It simply is to register your courses, to actually plan. You and your advisor can plan your entire semester worth through MyUK together, even before you meet with them in person. You can also look at your financials, such as your financial aid, loans, and also go into your academic degree history. If you've taken classes such as dual credit beforehand, you've entered the UK community, this is where you would find all of that. And you can also request a major, minor, or a certificate change or add. So this is the home of the degree audit. You will see that you will have what your bachelor's is in arts or science. It'll tell you what your college is, and it'll tell you how much of their degree completion process is. And you can also go through here and plan prior to what classes you would like to see to satisfy certain requirements. So this is kind of like your go-to thing that I personally love to use. It is a great guide to see what classes fulfill your humanities requirement, your foreign language requirement, and so on.
So just to throw out here, the really cool thing, and this is different. So some of you all have had students that came to UK in years past, or students who went to college at different institutions. UK registers students based on percentage of degree earned rather than on number of credits. Okay, so it's the percentage of their primary degree. And so it's much more of a growth mindset approach, that we want students to be able to see that everybody has completed something. And so you can see from Micah's point of view, she has 78% completed. She's enrolled in another current 10%. And then if you were to hit the third button over on the top where it would show completed, registered, and planned, any courses that she's planned for spring to take, those would show up in a different color. So it's showing the student that how much they have accomplished rather than how much they have yet to accomplish. It also allows you on the left-hand side to see specifically what things you still need to complete and the courses that align with them.
Thank you for that.
There you go, Mike.
So this is another part of the degree audit that essentially is where you will be able to go back and see how far you have completed. So this is where I personally have 3 minors, well, 1 minor and 3 certificates. And as you can see that my 2 certificates that's in distillation and globally competent teaching, those 2 have not been completed yet, but we'll be working towards those, such as my peace studies and global studies. They are 94% completed and only have certain things left for me as far as class-wise that I need to complete.